if human thought can do this to water, just imagine what it can do to us. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. This is a quote by Nikola Tesla. It's exactly what's happening right now, and it's making its presence felt in all levels of academia, but we still have a long way to go. Fortunately, a group of international recognized scientists have come together to stress the importance of what is still commonly overlooked in the mainstream scientific community. The fact that matter, that is protons, electrons, photons, anything that has mass, is not the only reality. We wish to understand the nature of our reality, but if we only examine physical systems and ignore all the rest, things like consciousness and the way it interacts with matter, we'll never be able to. Here we have images of water crystals of the Fujiwara Dam in Japan before offering prayers, water crystals of the Fujiwara Dam after offering a prayer. A few years ago, these scientists held an international summit on post-materialist science and created a manifesto to explain its significance. The scientists involved were Mario Beauregard, PhD, University of Arizona, Gary Schwartz, PhD, University of Arizona, Lisa Miller, PhD, Columbia University, in collaboration with Larry Dossi, MD, Alexander Moreira Almeida, MD, PhD, Marilyn Schlitz, PhD, Rupert Sheldrake, PhD, and Charles Dart, PhD. There are hundreds of published peer-reviewed publications showing statistically significant results for this type of science, yet unfortunately still shunned by mainstream academia, even though so many mainstream academia scientists support it. So what's going on here? The idea that the mind affects physical material reality is not trivial, and it's been demonstrated repeatedly with statistically significant results through fascinating research undertaken by government programs, places like the Institutes of Noetic Sciences, founded by Dr. Edgar Mitchell, and in more recent developments, a group of internationally recognized scientists mentioned above. Why would these scientists, people working at the highest level of government, be studying this type of science if there was absolutely no validity behind this? The implications of this type of science are far-reaching, and in the opinion of many, far greater than those of material science. So we should not be fooled. Material science has been integral to the advancement of humanity, but non-material science is truly our next step. Human thoughts, feelings, emotions, perceptions, consciousness, and more are all intertwined with what we perceive to be our physical material reality. The science of consciousness is the backbone of quantum mechanics, QM, the discipline that challenges the current assumed material foundations of what we call reality. I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative form from consciousness. We cannot get behind consciousness. Everything we talk about, everything that we regard as existing, postulates consciousness. This is what Max Planck says, theoretical physicist who originated quantum theory, which won him the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1918. Human thought and how it affects water. Experiments over the past 4 decades investigated whether human intention alone can affect the properties of water. This question has been of interest to alternative medicine research because the human body is made up of about 70% water. Interest in this topic has been rekindled recently by multiple researchers suggesting that intentionally influenced water can be detected by examining ice crystals formed from samples of that water. Scientists have hypothesized and shown that water influenced by intention can indeed influence the physical formation of the ice crystals that water produces. Consistent results commonly point to the idea that positive intentions intend to produce symmetric, well-formed, aesthetically pleasing crystals, and negative intentions tend to produce asymmetric, poorly formed, and unattractive crystals. Dean Radin, the chief scientist at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, along with Masaru Emoto, Takashige Kizu, and Nancy Lund, designed an experiment that tested this hypothesis. And the study description reads, over 3 days, 1,900 people in Austria, Germany, focused their attentions towards water samples located inside an electromagnetically shielded room in California. Water samples located near the target water, but unknown to the people providing intentions, acted as proximal controls. Other samples located outside the shielded room acted as distant controls. Ice drops formed from samples of water in the different treatment conditions were photographed by a technician. Each image was assessed for aesthetic beauty, but over 2,500 independent judges, and the resulting data were analyzed, all by individuals blind with respect to the underlying treatment conditions. Results suggested that crystal images in the intentionally treated condition were rated as aesthetically more beautiful than proximal control crystals. This outcome replicates the results of an earlier pilot test. And we can see them in the video, see in the images here. Compassion is beautiful. When you say thank you to a crystal, it comes out in a beautiful shape. When you say wisdom, it comes out to a beautiful shape. And when you say other things, derogatory things, they come out very ugly. When they hear music, when they're exposed to classical music, the Mozart Symphony, or even to Imagine by John Lennon, or when you say the word love, and peace, or thank you. So you can see the various images here. One of the previously mentioned studies was conducted in the 1990s by Masaru Emoto, co-participant in the study used in the article. He came up with the idea to freeze water and observe it with a microscope. At first, he observed crystals of tap water, river water, and lake water. From the tap water, he could not get any aesthetically pleasing crystals that were unique in design, not even from rivers or lakes that surrounded big cities. However, water from more isolated rivers and lakes produced unique and beautiful crystals. The results from this earlier study, among others, also showed that the shape and physical structure of water crystals changed after, quote, giving good words, playing good music, and showing, playing, or offering pure prayer to water, end quote. Disfigured crystals were also observed when creating the opposite situation. You can request photos and even view some. Below is a clip of what the blue in the article. You'll see it in the what the bleep do we know? 2004 documentary that combines a number of factors demonstrating a connection between quantum physics and consciousness, and mentions Emoto's research with intention and water. It features prominent scientists and researchers and has won several independent film awards. Emoto's work has been criticized before and harshly. This type of research directly contradicts the belief system of many scientists, and that's largely because the assumptions of material science have transformed into dogmas and instilled the belief that the mind is nothing but the physical activity of the brain, and that our thoughts cannot have any effect upon physical structures or the physical world. And that's why the republished study presented here is so important, because it came after the criticisms and was a replication of Emoto's work. I'd like to mention before concluding that the mind-body connection is also a great area to dive into, and one example of many where consciousness alters physical systems. The placebo effect is another fantastic and proven example. Perhaps this is way more and more why people are gravitating towards alternative forms of medicine, as Garth Cook from Scientific American points out. A growing body of scientific research suggests that our mind can play an important role in healing our body or in staying healthy in the first place. There are now several lines of research suggesting that our mental perception of the world constantly informs and guides our immune system in ways that make us better able to respond to future threats. That was a sort of aha moment for me, where the idea of an entwined mind and body suddenly made more scientific sense than an ephemeral consciousness that somehow separates from our physical selves. In 1999, a statistics professor at UC Irvine published a paper showing that parapsychological experiments have produced much stronger results than those showing a daily dose of aspirin helps prevent a heart attack. She also showed that these results are much stronger than the research behind various drugs like antiplatelets, for example. Human thought, feelings, and emotions have the power to change our world and are a necessary component behind our actions that will help bring that change into fruition. For a selected list of downloadable peer-reviewed journal articles reporting studies of psychic phenomena and how intentions, thoughts, and feelings can alter physically, mostly physicality, that is, our physical world, mostly published in the 21st century era in the link below. This is by Arjun Walia. It's by Alexander Light on Humans Are Free. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.